wait for the last few people coming through the door. Come on in. Come in, come in, come in. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining the Shelly family today. Really appreciate you supporting us in saying farewell to my father, Bruce Shelly, or Michael Bruce Shelly. I'm going to read a blessing by Abbess Christine Walters. Creator of all, open our eyes to your word, scribed on every leaf and petal, on every wing and paw. As the seasons unfold in their vibrant dance of change, may we read on their pages your call to blossom forth, to bear fruit, to surrender and yield, to rest into mystery. Let the journey of caterpillar to moth teach us the path of transformation. Let the patience of mountains and the singing of stones give us guidance for what it means to endure. Let the rise and fall of the sun and moon, circling the blue-tiled sky, teach us about journeys to fullness and to rest and release. May your holy wisdom be revealed in each season, that we may recognize grace at every turn. Okay. Welcoming my brother Reed Shelly, I do want to acknowledge my family in Australia, my brother Scott, his wife Brenda, and his daughter Basha. They were not able to travel to America at this time, so they're watching at 4:30 in the morning right now.
There is a prop bet whether I get through this. Michael Bruce Shelly. Bruce Shelly was one of one. I got to experience my dad through multiple lenses across a lifetime of lives, through a child's eyes, through an adult's eyes, and through the eyes of a business partner and a professional. But the best and clearest lens of all, my father was my friend. God, was I lucky. His life was so full and diverse and remarkable, I can't cover it all, but I will do a sliver. He was born 1929 in Reno. At 13, he drove a coal truck, later an Eagle Scout, acted in school plays, played football and basketball. Much later, he spent a year riding the rails through the Northwest, jumping trains, washing dishes, finding work wherever he could. My dad never avoided experience. He collected it. And it all turned into stories he would tell. Bruce attended the Working Ranch College Deep Springs. I think there was something like 18 students. It was a working ranch out in nowhere. Later, he was a lineman at the University of Utah, a Korean War veteran, a newspaper man, a campaign manager in Washington, D.C., an ad man, a writer, a story editor, an executive story editor, a producer. And for me, he was also a producer of A Place to Live, Food on the Table, a '68 Camaro, a Toyota truck, a 2008 Chevy Impala that I just drove here today. He and my mom gave me a college education, career opportunities, and countless other riches and memories that mattered a lot more than I knew at the time. God, was I lucky. It took my dad 11 years to break into television writing. He said, quote, "I wanted to give up many, many times, but since it was more painful not to write than to write, I knew I must be a writer." And then there was Nan, my mom. But his quote tells you everything about him. There was never any quit in my dad, and there was never a time that he wasn't writing. He was pitching me ideas right up until the end. Writing wasn't something he did, it was something he was. His career spanned decades. He wrote for shows like MASH, Happy Days, along with dozens of others across comedy, drama, and animation. And an incredible career. On a personal note, when I think about my dad, I remember solid, gritty, yet zen-like and thoughtful, well-read, sharp-minded, funny, kind. He vibrated at a lower hum than most people, and somehow that gave the people around him calm and confidence. But if you knew him well, you also knew not to underestimate him. Beneath that calm was fierce discipline, real work ethic, a core fire, the ability to get things done. My dad was gentle but tough, and he was brave. He also quietly carried the Shelly-wide independent streak, some call stubborn. He taught me a lot: grace under pressure, the craft of writing, ass-in-seat determination, discipline, and especially humor. He taught me that sometimes no news is just no news. The line was, "Don't disaster bait." And he said the best way to make something happen when nothing is happening is to take action. Plan your work, work your plan. And then there was my mom, back to my mom. It was always Nan and Bruce. You rarely heard one name without the other. They married in 1953 and built a life together that lasted more than 70 years. Not because it was easy, but because they chose it. They built a life from scratch more than once. Washington, D.C., Reno, Sparks, San Pedro, the San Fernando Valley, Lake Amelnor, Los Gatos. Each move came with work, uncertainty, and hope. My mom anchored the family while my dad chased writing jobs that didn't always exist. Yet, Bruce chased the work while Nan made sure my brother and sister and I were fed, the schools were right, the doors were open, and the house was full of people. My mom and dad were partners in the truest sense. My mom supported his career without ever shrinking herself. She built her own life of service, spirituality, counseling, and community. Bruce respected her completely. They traveled together, they hiked together, they spent summers in the mountains, and later years watching the lake and the light change. They raised us, they adored their grandkids. They welcomed friends, neighbors, bands, holidays, weddings, and long conversations that ran late into the night. Nan and Bruce built something, and everyone here has lived inside it. People keep using the same words to describe my dad: kind, generous, smart, gentle, funny, a mentor, a second dad, someone who listened, someone who took people seriously. That was who he was. And wherever he's headed next, I'm pretty sure he's going to be telling stories. I will miss him all day, every day. I'm grateful for him, and I will do my best to carry him forward, one story at a time. Thank you.
My grandfather wrote, I'm Lowen Baumgarten, Lowen Shelly Baumgarten. My grandfather wrote dozens and hundreds of hours of television and film. And I realized when we were getting ready for today that two of maybe his most famous have funerals in them. The one feature movie he wrote, The Hazing, and the one episode of MASH that he wrote, Tuttle, which if you ever Google best episodes of MASH, is in every single list, in the top 10, top 20. Many people's favorite. So I watched them both this week, and when I was watching The Hazing, I found myself just wanting to ask him questions. How did you get a bulldozer for this scene? Did you really film a full parade in Flagstaff? What was it? It looked fun just hanging out in the National Forest near Sedona. That looked beautiful. You know, the other thing I realized after watching them both, especially Tuttle, his episode of MASH, is that they're both stories about storytelling. I was always mesmerized by my grandfather's power with storytelling, how he could command everyone's attention so gently, so effortlessly, how he could change a moment by telling a very, very short story. A lot of my memories of Bruce are sitting on the deck at the lake, looking out at the water. He's sitting there quietly in his chair. We're all sort of chattering. Or sitting around the dinner table in Los Gatos or at Davana Terrace. And in my family, there are a lot of big personalities. A lot of people trying to show off, get a word in edgewise, not least myself, trying to be clever, score points, getting into arguments. And that whole time, I just have this memory of Bruce sitting at the head of the table, very quiet, very steady. A friend who couldn't be here, Sarah, she texted me this week and she said, my memories of Bruce are quiet, steady, and supportive. And my Uncle Reed, the word he used was that calm that he really had. And so this whole chaos at the dinner table, everyone trying to get their own little clever barb in, and Bruce is just sitting there, fully calm, and then he would inevitably puncture all of that with a joke. Everyone would laugh. The whole moment would change. The room would change. Everyone would feel better. Or he would tell a story that took 5 sentences. And his presence was so soft, for so long, so silent. And then he would have this story, right? I have this axiom that I pull out at cocktail parties these days, that storytelling is like fishing, and it annoys my wife because she hears it all the time. But I learned that from Bruce, that storytelling is mostly about being quiet. It's his presence in those moments when all the family was around it looked still, but then you realized when he said something, when he gave you that one joke or that one poem, how attentive and creative and productive that energy was, that stillness. Storytelling is really about listening. It's really an act of compassion for your audience. It's not about scoring points for yourself, it's about what they need. I didn't learn any of this from anyone but Bruce. That's what I've always sort of been, again, mesmerized by. That how much storytelling for him was a generous act, not about showing off, but about listening to that room and to those voices and to those people and giving them exactly what they needed. There's going to be a slideshow later, and I'm pretty sure my mom asked for a picture to be included in that slideshow of me climbing on the rock at Lake Almanor and Bruce chasing after behind me. And that's sort of, again, what storytelling was for him and what his whole life was, in my experience, is what our whole relationship was, is that he wanted you to be the star. He wanted me to be the star. And he was just there, quiet, steady, and supportive, but always creative.
Well, if MASH was perhaps Bruce's, one of the most popular and successful franchises that he wrote for, it always paled in comparison to me to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when I was 5 years old, I believe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out that year. The cartoon was huge, debuted in 1987, and I was 5, 1990. And my grandfather basically seemed as famous as Michael Jackson to me, because he and my uncle wrote an episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called Sky Turtles. And that episode was one of 4 episodes that was released at Burger King in 1990 for sale, of course. I think less than $4. And it was marketed by the Burger King Kids Club. And one interesting thing about Bruce is that he, like me, was very introverted, did not get his energy from social engagements. And as my brother and my uncle said previously, he was very quiet, and he was a pensive, observant listener, always seemed to be deep in thought, whether that was true or not. It always seemed that way, it looked that way. And my grandfather told my mom once that his job as a writer was to sell soap. It was to sell dish soap to housewives if it was on, a show like, All in the Family or something like that. It was to sell Burger King food to kids when it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that was something I struggled with, trying to understand my grandfather for a long time, because how could this very introverted, reserved person be able to create stories that would appeal to this wide audience and allow people to sell products eventually. That's what it came down to. And so I too went back and watched Sky Turtles this week. And the one thing I think, to answer that question of how he could write for Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario and also for adult audiences, Love Boat, whatever. And I think that's because certain things, like we've talked about storytelling. Storytelling is emotional, and it is something that is universal, really. So in that episode, Michelangelo has eaten too much pizza, and the rest of the guys are weighing him and they make fun of him for being fat, which is universally funny. We have the goons, Bebop and Rocksteady, who are your, typical one short fat guy, one tall thin guy goons who, and they do stupid things and suffer the consequences, which is always funny. And the evil Shredder tries to take over the world. He thinks that,
He's smarter than Krang, who's literally just a brain in a robotic body. And he destroys this anti-gravity machine they have, and it makes things worse. And, Shredder is a megalomaniac that, due to his unstoppable lust for power, eventually fails and gets his comeuppance, which is always funny. I think that if Bruce had been born in Gen Z, he would be a social media manager. If he was in politics now, he would have a lot of, abilities to sell soap, to get people elected, to catch people's attention so they'll watch ads on TV. And that's something that I think took me a long time to realize, because I'm not the best liar, and I'm not the best storyteller. I wouldn't say, empathy isn't necessarily my strong suit. I know a lot of people think, but what empathy really means is to be able to feel what other people are feeling. And I, at times, am pretty indifferent to what other people feel. So, not my best personal trait, but my grandfather was very empathetic. In fact, it was almost a superpower at times to be able to, find a connection where there is no logical connection. Something that's, Sonic the Hedgehog wasn't Bruce's reading material or watching material, and he was a voracious reader. So, I think the best way for me to describe what Bruce meant, to our family and to me personally, was that there's a lot of value in observation, and there's a lot of value in being able to look at the world, look at other people, and find out how to draw them in, appeal to them, and eventually convince them to buy some soap. Thank you.
Thank you for those beautiful tributes and the insight into Bruce. We've heard about Bruce, and now we get to hear his words in these poems that he wrote.
I'm Maeve, Bruce's granddaughter. I'll be reading a poem he wrote called I Can't Help But Concluding This. I did not come alone into this world. None of us do. No person, no tribe, no species. Something greater than we can even imagine came with us, as us. Some force, some power, some presence that loves every bit of energy, animate and inanimate, and which provides the impetus and the patience for our continuing evolution. Even in the nightmare nights and the darkest days, that mother, father, teacher, healer, friend is with us, despite our doubts, our hopelessness, our stubborn ignorance. We are meant to learn, to expand, to grow, to open and bloom. And we are not merely marooned on this beautiful planet without tools to help that happen. The giver of all continues giving. When we reach out, the Creator responds in kind. We cannot stay children, and God can only grow us so far without our help. In everything we create, we have a loving partner. We did not come alone into this world.
I'm John Baumgarten, Ann's husband. Bruce was like a second father to me. And I got to read a much simpler poem, which is called Fifth Grade. When our teacher lady called roll, most of us answered here. Some smart-ass show-offs answered present. Not true. Our thoughts were elsewhere, not here, not present. Will I get chosen for recess dodgeball? What did Mom mean at breakfast? Does Marcy Sue like me? Why does my left ear itch? Big questions, coming between the boring questions in arithmetic throughout the morning. Sometime in there, we heard the shrill command, "Pay attention, people." We were paying attention, just not to long division.
And now I invite you to enjoy the slideshow that the family has put together and that Bruce's son and daughter-in-law in Australia scored.
I just want to say I love you more every day. Baby, you and I, we must have done something right. I would not change the world for a day without you, girl. With every kiss we're learning how to keep the love light burning. The love you're giving me is precious as can be. And as the years go by, I'll be here by your side. And I just want to say, love you more every day. Baby, you and I, we must have done something right. Somehow through the hazy maze of life we found each other. Guess it's more than destiny that brought us both together. Ooh, I just want to say I love you more every day. Baby, you and I, we must have done something right. I just want to say, girl, I love you more every day. Baby, you and I, we must have done something right.
Here's Lucy, starring Lucille Ball.
Soon we'll be making another run. The love boat promises something for everyone. Set a course for adventure, your mind on a new romance. And love.
We're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's our game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Hooked on the brothers. Yo, you're in for a treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Coopers and Troopers, the princess and the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Oh, we spend our days like bright and shiny new dimes. If we're ever puzzled by the changing time, there's a plate of homemade wishes on the kitchen windowsill. And it is enough to fill our lives with love.
What a beautifully prepared and scored slideshow. Wow. And now I know who wrote the words to the shows that influenced my formative life. At any memorial service, we remember the life of the one we loved. We look back on moments shared, conversations around a dinner table, laughter, what at the time seemed like ordinary days, but now we know they were extraordinary. Some memories, as we look back, make us smile. Others are tender, perhaps even painful. but together they form a pattern of a life well lived, a pattern of relationship, and even a pattern for how we go forward without the one we love beside us. Because Bruce loved nature, I have chosen words from Isaiah 35 as my text today. And Isaiah 35 begins with these words: "The desert and the parched land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus, it will burst into bloom. It will rejoice greatly and shout for joy." Isaiah speaks into a time of drought and exile, a time when everything feels stripped down, barren, uncertain. That language may resonate today. Grief can feel like a desert. There is the aching realization that we cannot call Bruce, we cannot stop by for a visit, we cannot ask him the questions we wish we could. We cannot hear his voice again. That absence is real. The sorrow is real, and it can feel like wilderness. It can feel like desert. And yet in the middle of the wilderness, in the middle of the desert, Isaiah gives us an image of a crocus pushing through dry ground, beauty appearing where it is not expected, joy rising where there had only been dust. The promise is not that the desert doesn't exist. The promise is that the desert is not the end of the story. Isaiah goes on to write, "The glory of Lebanon will be given to it, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord." And these words as well: "Strengthen the feeble hands, steady the knee that gives way. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear." The reality is that grief is exhausting. It shakes us. It leaves us unsure of how to move forward. Isaiah does not tell us to ignore this. Instead, he calls us to strengthen one another, to study one another, to speak courage to hearts that are fearful or doubting. This is part of what we are doing today. We are remembering the stories of Bruce that give us comfort, that remind us of who he was and what he meant to each one of you gathered here today. Later in Isaiah 35, the imagery becomes even more vivid when we read this: "Water will gush forth in the wilderness and streams in the desert. The burning sand will become a pool, the thirsty ground bubbling springs." Water in the desert, life where there had been dryness, renewal where there had been loss. Whether we hear these words as poetry, promise, or prayer, they remind us of something deeply human. Love and beauty do not disappear simply because a life ends. Bruce's life was not small. He spent his days shaping stories, writing words that would reach millions, words that would influence lives and the way they were lived. He knew how to tell a story in the middle of chaos. He knew how to find humanity in unlikely places. He knew how to write lines that would endure. And now we stand in the middle of a story that feels unfinished, or perhaps we simply don't like this ending. But this we know. The love he gave does not vanish. It continues. And the people shaped by him, in the laughter he sparked, in the ways he taught others to see the world with curiosity and humor and depth. Isaiah ends with this vision. They will enter Zion with singing. Everlasting joy will crown their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sighing flee away. Today, sorrow has not fled. It is here. We feel it. But sorrow is not the only thing here either. Love is here as well. Grief may feel like deep water. Tears may come in waves. But the love that has been given and received cannot be drowned. Time cannot change it. Loss will not affect it. And death does not take away the love that Bruce had for each of you. Today we remember Bruce, his mind, his humor, his presence, the way he had of making you feel like you were the most important person, his love of nature, his craft, the stories he created. We honor the pattern of his life. And as we prepare to leave this place to move forward with life without Bruce, we do what Isaiah invites us to do. We strengthen one another's hands. We steady one another's knees. We walk through the wilderness together, trusting that even here, especially here, something is beginning to bloom. The desert does not get the final word. Love does. Christina, I would like to invite you to come and show us the way to go home.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina. I'm Lowen's wife. And I was asked to sing a song for Bruce. And this one struck me as one that he sang on car trips. And he was quite the road trip man, whether driving from Los Angeles to Almanor or from Nevada all the way to DC. Some of my favorite stories that he told us were of those trips and stopping in national parks along the way. Just singing the first verse of Show Me the Way to Go Home. If any of you already know the song, I'm going to sing it through twice, so feel free to join in if you learn along the way. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago, and it went right to my head. Wherever I may roam, inland or sea or foam, you will always hear me singing this song. Show me the way to go home. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago, and it went right to my head. Wherever I may or sea or foam. You will always hear me sing in this song. Show me the way to go home. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I want to close with these words. Bruce spent his life writing stories that people would remember. He was a master of his craft, and I imagine every word had been carefully honed. So I want to leave us with these lines from the Song of Psalms. Mighty waters cannot extinguish love. Rivers cannot sweep it away. The flood doesn't win. Love does. That is the ending. Love. Thank you for being here to honor Bruce, for the stories shared that are sacred memories. Thank you for the encouragement that the stories bring, that life does continue. Right now, I'm going to ask the family to exit and to remind you all that you are invited to a reception at Anne and John's house immediately following the service. Thank you for being here.